Okay, good morning, Mo'ai v'Rabotai. Today, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll analyze various halachot that pertain to sleeping. We know a person can survive without eating or drinking for a few days, but you can't go too long without sleeping. So we'll look at different ma'amarim from Chazal and different statements from Chachamim regarding the concept of sleeping. And B'ezrat Hashem, maybe we'll have better nights of sleep over the next few days. But not during the Shiur, obviously, right? Not during the Shiur. Even though it's cool to fall asleep is listen to my Shiur. In any event.
Sleep on it first.
We know that sleeping is vital from a Gashmiya standpoint. From a physical standpoint, you gotta sleep. But as the Ben Ish Chai brings down over here in Parashat Pekudei, he writes, Hashena la'adam balayla, sleeping at night, yesh bat tzorech v'to'elet gam mitzad ruchaniyut. There's also a tremendous need for it when it comes from a spiritual standpoint. There's tremendous tikkunim that take place in Shamayim. So that's just a physical thing. Something spiritual behind it as well. We know there's a famous Rambam who brings out the words of Chazal with regard to sleeping, and it says that tzarich ha'adam lechaven libo v'chol ma'asav kulam le'edai et Hashem baruch hu. A person must have kavanah for everything that he does towards the will of Hashem. Even while you're sleeping, if you're sleeping so you could just rest your mind, and get some peace of your body, you won't become sick. Right? It turns out his sleep is avodas Hashem. Your mom is serving Hashem by sleeping. Right? And they bring down also when it comes to eating and drinking, achila, v'shtia, halicha, yeshiva, kima, tash, mesicha, kol tzechah guvecha. Whether it's walking, talking, eating, drinking, anything you do in life, if you direct it towards avodat haboreh, towards the will of your Creator, serving Hashem, I gotta eat, I have some strength to daven, to serve Hashem, to do chesed, to help my wife and kids, right? I gotta work to pay tuition, to pay my bills. Then you're turning that maaseh, that action, into a maaseh mitzvah of some sort. So today we'll try to analyze some of these points. For instance, how long should a person sleep? When should a person sleep? When's the opportune time to sleep? And we'll see different ma'amarim that the poskim bring down, the chachamim bring down, which I'm sure we heard of, but we'll get somewhat of a different twist on it. First of all, we know that the Rambam writes a person should sleep how much? Only about 6 to 8 hours. The Ben Ish Chai brings out, it's not just the Rambam that says this, he says that the greatest rofim, the muvakim, the greatest doctors agree to this number of 6 to 8. He writes in Parashat Vayishlach, Al yachshov ha'adam al hashena. A person must not think about sleeping. Kol ma shetiyeh beribu yoter. The more it is, yesh bato el guf, it's better for the body. So don't think like that. The hayiskimu kol harofim muvakim, because all the great doctors have agreed. The al yishan ha'adam balayla pachot mishesh shaot. A person must not sleep at night less than 6 hours. V'lo yoter al shmona shaot, not more than 8 hours. Why? Shetazik lo ribu hashena. Because sleep is one of the things that causes damage when you do it too much. Right? It's a Gemara in Gittin that says sleep, if you overdo it, it's going to damage your body. Nimtza, it turns out, davar ze muskam etzel kol harofim. This matter is agreed upon by all the doctors. The shena yoter mishmone tazik laguf. Sleeping more than 8 hours is going to destroy your body. It's going to harm your body. And if you sleep 6 hours, you fulfill your mitzvah of protecting your body. You fulfill your mitzvah. Therefore, he says, therefore, ish yehudi, a Jewish man, a Jewish person, he's obligated to take care of his spiritual health as well. He should not sleep more than 6 hours. You fulfill your obligation of protecting your body by sleeping 6, so you shouldn't sleep more than 6 hours. If they tell you need 6 to 8 to protect your body, so you take the minimum amount to protect your body. And what do you do the rest of the night? The rest of the night. You should spend your time sitting and learning Torah, taking care of your spiritual health. And then look what he adds over here. Miu, however, if it ever happens on a certain night, you lessen your 6 hours of sleep. You sleep 5 hours or 4 hours. Why? Because you want to be mosifa sha'ot she'berut nafsho, because you want to add on to your spiritual health. You want to diminish your physical health, quote unquote, in order to add on to your spiritual health. Says the Ben Ish Chai, batuachu, you're guaranteed, shelo yagia lo nezek v'chisaron mitzad beriut gufo. You'll have absolutely no nezek, no harm coming to you from a physical standpoint. This is guaranteed. That if you're diminishing from your physical sleep, from your physical health, in order to add on to your spiritual health, you won't have any harm. Lachen, therefore, Leil Shishi on Friday nights, V'leil Erev Rosh Chodesh, V'chen Leilot Shel Chodesh Elul, also the night of Chodesh Elul, coming up in a few weeks, right? V'aseret Yemei Teshuvah and Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Im ha'adam poched mishiur shesh b'shena, if you decide to diminish, because these are holy days, you diminish your sleep, nachon libo batuach, your heart should be rest assured, shelo yichaser klum bazeh b'beriut gufo, that you will not lack anything from your physical health. He stresses this, and the truth is, you always hear of different gedolim that sleep 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe max. Thinking, how do they do it? What's the secret? The answer is very simple. They're not playing, I was telling this over to a few college students. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to watch movies and play games until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you say, oh, let me learn for 2 hours, and I'll diminish my sleep, and I'll feel all of it. No. Talking about someone that's obviously using his time wisely. He's working, he's spending time with the family. Then he wants to go learn and diminish from his physical sleep, physical health. Nachon libo batuach, you're guaranteed that there will be no harm to you physically. That's what he writes. I want to read to you something that the Pele Yoetz writes. The Pele Yoetz, Rav Eliezer Papo, he writes as follows. Va'af im chevle shena noflim alav. Sometimes when you want to stay up at night, this happens Friday night especially. Friday night in the winter time, Shabbos starts 4:35, whatever it is. You finish your meal by 6:37, and now you have a whole night ahead of you. So the Yitzchak somehow is machbid aleinu. He makes things very, very difficult for us, and we start falling asleep at the Shabbos table, and maybe right before Birkas Hamazon, whatever it is, we start to fall asleep. Next thing you know, you finish your meal, you go straight to bed, and you get yourself a good 11, 12 hours of sleep on Friday night, and you still wake up tired for some reason, right? But whatever the case may be, look what he writes over here. Va'af im chevle sheina noflim alav. Even if the slumbers of sleep is coming upon you, Mamash, you're falling asleep. What could you do? Yitchok atzmo, you should push yourself. Ve'yamod, get up. Yechatz panav, you should wash your face. Nice cold water. Ad asher yargil atzmo b'mi'ut hashina, till you accustom yourself to sleep less. Ki ha'hergel na'aseh teva. Once you do it enough times, it becomes part of your nature. Ve'idameh, and you should imagine to yourself, Kemi sheyesh lo le'arviach 1,000 alfei dinarei zahav, one that has an opportunity to gain thousands of gold coins. She'eno ta'ev lishon yamim ve'lelot, you're not interested in sleeping for days and nights. Al achar kama ve'kama la'asok b'torah ve'la'asok noach haruach li'yotzein. How much more so to spend your time learning Torah and to do nachas ruach to your Creator? Oh, how much more so? Ve'rak bereshito mitzaer. In the beginning, it's going to be very, very painful, very difficult. The kolat chalot kashot al asher argil, because every beginning is difficult. Ulefum tzara Agra. This is what the Pele Yoetz writes in his commentary on Shena, on sleeping. And then Rav Chaim Falaji adds something very interesting, and he says as follows: V'kasher yistakel ha'adam, when a person will notice, when a person notices, she'achar mitato, after 120 years, einav setumot milerot, his eyes are shut from seeing. Kama yeh tohe az al harishonot, how much will he be, regretting about his earlier times? Lomar be'od einai petuchot, while my eyes are able to be opened. Madua lo istakalti be'em be'esek haTorah lenadet shena me'einai. Why didn't I learn Torah to get rid of the sleep? Lachen, therefore, be'od ruach chaim b'krimo, while you still have a spirit of life inside of you, hidrachek me'amita, distance yourself from death, ve'idabek b'Torah sheyetz chaim, and you should attach yourself to the Torah, which is a tree of life. So we see over here, 6 to 8 hours is what is our needs in this world. 6 to 8 hours is what we need. Therefore, a Jew should try to minimize and keep it towards the 6 and not towards the 8. And if you want him less than the 6, you should be rest assured that no harm is going to take place over here. Beseder. Now, when should you sleep? What time of the day is the best time to sleep? What do you say? Should you go to sleep at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m.? What time? 2 a.m.? When's the best time to go to sleep?
After Tikkun Chatzot.
After Tikkun Chatzot? Is that what you do, Meir?
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, okay.
I don't do Tikkun Chatzot today.
Okay.
It's better to wake up for Tikkun Chatzot.
What? So when should you go to sleep? When do you go to sleep at night? When's the opportune time to go to sleep?
Depends on when you're
As
working.
long as you get your 6 to 8
As long as you get your 6 to 8 hours, no nafkamina. Makes no difference when you sleep. Look what the Ben Ish Chai writes of here.
That's what time you're getting up.
Ve'af al pi, even though shekol halayla hu zman hashena, even though the whole night time is a time for sleeping, mikom makom, nevertheless, yoter tov, it is preferable shetiyeh hashena bechatzi harishon shel halayla ve'lo bechatzi hasheni. A person should be sleeping in the first half of the night, not the second half. Meaning, let's just say on a perfect day, you have a 12-hour day, 12-hour night, right? Nighttime starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at 6 a.m. Right? Says the Ben Ish Chai, don't sleep from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Rather, sleep from 12 a.m. till 6 a.m. The second half of the night. No.
That's to sleep the first half.
He says, now one more time, let me repeat it again. He says, יותר טוב שתהיה השינה בחצי הראשון של הלילה ולא בחצי השני. You should have
The first part.
first half of the night and not the second half. One second. ויש בזה תועלת הם מצד גשמיות ובריאות הגוף והם מצד רוחניות ותרגול הנפש ותרגול הנהלות. Meaning what? You should sleep in the first half of the night from 6 p.m. till 12 a.m. like we said. Right? Sleep in the first half of the night and be awake in the second half of the night. You hear? יותר טוב שתהיה בחצי הראשון. You should sleep in the first half of the night and not in the second half of the night. And then he brings a mashal over here. He says something very interesting. He says anyone that's up from chatzot, from midnight until alot hashachar, until daybreak, it's equivalent to someone that's working during the prime years of his life. Someone who, like us, who is up from 6 p.m. till midnight, it's equivalent to someone that starts working during the declining years of his life. In other words, he brings down from the Zohar that from a Kabbalistic perspective, a person has more kochot, has more strength doing things late at night as opposed to early in nighttime. Right? Your kochot are much stronger at nighttime after chatzot than what it is during the daytime. That says that's not the way of living today. It used to be easier to do that back then where there was electricity. People got home right before it was dark time. Yeah, they had a quick supper, then they go to sleep, and they wake up at midnight to do chatzot, they go and start learning whatever they're learning. Today, it's not so common, but I do know, I have a few friends that in Eretz Yisrael that actually follow this system. They go to sleep every night around 7, 8 p.m., right? They wake up before chatzot, and they go to the kotel or they go to the other yeshiva there, they learn from midnight on. That's what they start the day from midnight. Right? Maybe they need another hour of sleep during the daytime, even though it says that sleeping during the daytime is bad for tzaddikim. Right? It's ra le tzaddikim, but if you're doing it in order to learn at night, it's mutter. Right? But whatever the case is, we see such a concept that people used to what? Stay from chatzot laila all the way till alot hashachar. Said, this is not for us. That second concept is not for us, but the 6 to 8 is definitely for us. 6 to 8 hours. Let's analyze these points, Be'ezrat Hashem. Different concepts of why you're sleeping, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And then we'll get to the famous question of Birkat HaMapil, the bracha of Mapil, that we make every night. Do you make it with a bracha? Till what time could you make it with a bracha? Right? How much I have to sleep to make it with a bracha? But before we do that, let's just see 2 more points about sleeping. Point number 1, it's brought down that a person should be zahir, should be careful with 2 points. Number 1 is zahir shisham b'talikatan. Number 1, try to be careful to sleep with your talis katan. Try to sleep with your talis katan. Don't take it off before you sleep. Shelo yifshod oto gam b'shechvo b'layla al mitato. Don't take it off. And the Mekubalim write down, the Kabbalists write down, it could abolish the kochot of the Sidra Acha, of the Chitzonim, whatever that means. And number 2, they add from the Chida and other Mekubalim, that what? When you go to sleep, try to make sure you have nothing metal on you. The Chida writes, if you're sleeping with your keys in your pocket, you're giving an extra koyach to these kochot to make you do certain averot. Make sure you have no metal on you when you go to sleep. I don't know, you have to take off a metal watches. I don't know what the story is over here. But the point is, don't have any metal on you while you're sleeping.
Wedding ring?
Huh? Your wedding ring? You don't really need it. Don't worry. We know you're married.
You got a bobby pin on your kippah.
Huh? Right? So have yourself on the breast of Yom because you don't need a bobby pin for that. Huh? In any event. Wow. In any event. Let's analyze this point of a talis katan. Let's analyze this point. We discussed a while back about there's a famous machloket between the Rambam and the Rosh, regarding the mitzvah of tzitzis. We know that the mitzvah of tzitzit is 100% a mitzvah that says Shazman Grama. It's time bound. We all agree, like Rabbi Shimon holds in Gemara Menachot, that's a time bound mitzvah. As it says, you should see it, and we hold that it's a time bound mitzvah. But there's a machloket as to how you define time bound mitzvah. The Rambam holds the basic interpretation. You're obligated in tzitzis during the day, and you're patul, you're exempt at nighttime. That's the basic understanding of time-bound mitzvah. That means, I have a four-corner garment during the daytime, I'm chayav. It's nighttime, I'm patul. I can walk with a four-corner garment at night, but that's it. The Rosh has a novel approach to this. He has a different interpretation to this mitzvah that says a time-bound mitzvah. He says by tzitzit, it's not a matter of day or night, per se. It has to do with what? Ksut yom or ksut layla. The Yehuda beged. What is this garment designated for? Is this four-corner garment designated to be worn during the daytime? Or is this four-corner garment designated to be worn at night? Any garment that's designated for the daytime is chayav v'tzitzit, even if I wear it at nighttime. Any garment that's designated for nighttime is patur from tzitzit, even if I wear it during the daytime. That means that's to do with Kriyat Shema. Right? Nothing to do with that. Now, that means, Meir, if you have your special pajamas, four-cornered pajamas, right? What do you have? You have, huh? No. You have, let's just say you have Elmo, or you have Mickey Mouse, whatever it may be that a person has. You have your four-cornered pajamas, right? And now, you have a day off from work, and you want to wear it all day long at home. Now, at nighttime, you're patur according to the Rambam, and you're patur according to the Rosh. It's not even a question. The Rambam holds it's night, you're patur. The Rosh holds it's a night garment. The pajamas are meant for night, it's patur. But if you decide to wear it throughout the day, you're making yourself breakfast, and you're sitting on your couch reading your Sfarim, right? And you're wearing your pajamas, the Rambam would tell you that what? That you must put tzitzit onto this four-corner garment. Why can't it's already daytime? The Rosh will tell you, no, it's a night garment, you're patur from tzitzit. Very simple. Right? Same thing if I have right now a four-corner garment that's designated for the daytime. I have my garment that I wear for work. It's four corners. Naniach, it's four corners. Now, when I wear it at nighttime, the Rambam will tell you you're patur, and the Rosh will tell you you're chayav because it's a day garment. That's what it comes down to. Therefore, you see many poskim that warn. I know it's very common. Remember, when yeshiva guys used to do this. They used to wear their four-cornered tzitzit, obviously, all day long. And when they go to sleep, they would have a special night tzitzis that they would sleep with. Now, that could present a problem. Why could that present a problem? Because think about it. I'm wearing my tzitzis all day long. Okay, beautiful. Now I'm going to sleep. I take this pair of tzitzis to put it on. Nice, fresh pair of tzitzis. I'm putting it on specifically for sleeping. Now, the Rambam would tell you that this four-corner garment is a chayiv, tzitzis, a patur. It's definitely patur, okay? It's nighttime. But what would the Rosh tell you about this garment? How is it chayiv? I'm designating it for sleep. I'm designating it for nighttime. So you'd also say it's patur. That means if you're designating a special garment to wear at night to sleep with, it turns out according to the Rambam and the Rosh, patur from tzitzit. Right? Therefore, what do the poskim suggest? You should at least wear that night tzitzis sometime during the day as well. This way you're making it a beged yom and beged laila. If you're making it a garment of day and night, then the Rosh will tell you it's chayav tzitzit. Right? And that means most people anyways wake up after Alot HaShachar, and you wake up in the morning, you're still wearing it, you go in a wash, maybe you have your cup of coffee, whatever it is that you do, keep it on. Don't just take it off immediately once you wake up, because if you would do that, you would almost make that out to be a night garment. And if it's a night garment, you put according to all opinions, the Rambam anyways, and the Rosh, because it's Yud Lelayla. But that's what we have to be careful about if you are particular about wearing a tzitzit at night. Now, we also brought down a ra'aya that a person should try to sleep with tzitzit. We won't get into it in depth today because we discussed it a while back, about a year ago. But we brought a proof from the Arizal brings down a proof that a person should sleep with his tzitzit on from the Ma'aseh, from a story of David HaMelech. It says in the Gemara in Menachot that David HaMelech, when he would go to take a shower or a bath, he would lament and he would say, Oy li she'emod arum belo mitzvah. Woe to me that I stand naked with no mitzvot. He has no mitzvah on him. No tzitzis, no tefillin, no nothing. Right? Oy li, woe to me, I have no mitzvot. So says the Arizal, so why didn't David HaMelech say this when he went to sleep every night? Why is it when he went to sleep, even if he slept just for a few minutes, why is it when he went to sleep he didn't say, oh, I have no mitzvahs on me? Elamai, says the Arizal, it must be that the only time he would take off his tzitzit is what? Is only when he took a shower. Whereas when he went to sleep at night, apparently he did have the tzitzis on him. He did have the tzitzit on him when he went to sleep at night. There's a Magen Avraham over there that wants to question the Arizal. And he says, what do you mean? Maybe because when he went to sleep at night, he had a mezuzah on his doorpost. And in the bathhouse, in the shower room, there's no mezuzah. Right? Okay, so they go back and forth. The Chida responds, and he defends the Arizal by saying that in reality, Oili she'emod arum belo mitzvah is referring to what's on him, mitzvah shebegufo. Now, what? Oh, that's why he's mitpayes. The Gemara says, how is he mitpayes? Once you remember the bris milah. But before that, why would he not have this question when he went to sleep at night? Elamai, nothing was begufo except the bris milah when he was in the shower, whereas when he went to sleep, he had a tzitzit on him. Listen, it's not so pashut to sleep with tzitzit on, especially in the summertime. If you have an air conditioner on, today they have a special, the clothes, the t-shirt tzitzit, it's made out of cotton, right, that people could wear all day long, right? Even though you should know according to the Rambam and the Rif and Maran Shulchan Aruch, you're not Yertzeh de Chovah, midoraita with the cotton tzitzis. They hold only woolen loons deoraita. But you see Tosafot and the Ramah passing this, they hold also cotton deoraita. So at least if a person could sleep with his tzitzit on, Chazakim beruchim teyu. It's a tremendous thing. Don't shower with his tzitzit on. No. But you have your brit milah, Baruch Hashem. Then you won't have to wash anymore.
So we don't have to go like what David HaMelech had to go through.
Okay.
We're not on the Madreg of David.
Well, you're not yet at the Madrig of David HaMelech. In any event, whatever the case may be, if a person could do it, great. The average person feels it's too difficult. Today, like we said, we have ACs, we have air conditioners and fans, whatever it is. It's a tremendous thing. If you just think about every second you're getting some sort of spiritual protection in the midst of wearing it for 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep that you have. So if a person could do it, it's a big zechus for the person on an individual basis. But now let's jump to the concept of the bracha hamapil. The Gemara in Brachot, Daf Samech, brings down, besides saying Kriyat Shema before you go to sleep, the minhag is to say all three parshiot, as the Mishnah Brewer brings down. This so you have the 248 words that give the special connection to your limbs. But besides saying the three parshiot, the Gemara in Brachot brings down Hanichnas Lishon, one who goes to sleep, Amitato on his bed, Mevarech Birkat Hamapil Chevlei Shena Aleinai. He has to make the bracha of Hamapil Chevlei Shena. Now, do you make it with Shem Hashem or not Shem Hashem? You look at the Rishonim. The Rambam writes explicitly that you make it with Shem Malchus. The Ochot Chaim and many other Rishonim, the Kolbo, they all bring down. You say it Shem Malchus, right? You say it with Hashem's name. The Arizal held, you do it with Shem Malchus. Maran Shulchan Aruch and Siman Resh Lameted writes Shem Malchut. You say it with Hashem's name. However, we see a few later poskim that started having a chashash about saying Hashem's name by saying Baruch Atah Hashem. Why? What were they worried about? They were worried about maybe a person will speak after the bracha. Aviti what the Ben Ish Chai writes. He writes as follows. He writes, Birkat HaMapil, this blessing of Mapil, Nitkena b'Shem HaMalchut. It was established by the Chachamim to say b'Shem HaMalchut. וכן צריך לומר כפי דברי רבנו אריזה. This is how you have to do according to the אריזה. However, יש נוהגים, some are נוהג, שאין מברכים אותה בשם המלכות. They skip the שם המלכות. Why? Because חשש שמא יהיה מוכרח להפסיק באיזה דברים שיהיה מוכרח לדבר בם. Because the חשש, you may have to speak. Speak, whatever it may be. You may have a phone call, your wife, your children, whatever it may be, you may have to talk to them. There's a חשש of a hefsek. And he writes, וכן מנהגי, this is my minhag, says the Ben Ish Chai. ומנהג אדוני אבי, and it's also the minhag of my father. Now the truth is, we see from the Shas all the way through the poskim, everyone says say Shem Machus. No one seemed to be choishish, no one seemed to be worried about maybe you'll come to speak and make a hefsek. But we see over here certain poskim for the past 200 plus years, they're the ones that were choishish for this concept, for this idea. Is there a ra'aya? Is there some sort of semech for what they're saying from the words of the poskim that maybe you should be choishish? Or is there no semech to this? So some of the poskim bring down the following tosafot from brachot. We know we have a mitzvah to eat and drink and sleep and spend time in the sukkah. Right? We have a mitzvah to spend time in the sukkah. 7 days. Right? B'sukkot teshvu, you got to sit down in the sukkah. You got to make it into your dira. That should be your residence during that time of the year. And when you go to eat in the sukkah, you make the bracha of the sheva sukkah. Right? When you eat bread, it's a certain share. And then Tosafot discusses in Barachot Yud Aleph Amud Bet, why don't we make a bracha of Lishon Besukah? When we go to sleep every night, it's a mitzvah to sleep at the sukkah, right? Why not make a bracha of Lishon Besukah? What's the reason? What was that? So therefore we should make a bracha. Before you go to sleep, you make a bracha to say I'm being mekayim the mitzvah of sleeping in the sukkah, and then you go to sleep. It's a mitzvah to sleep in the sukkah, right? That's what the poskim write. You should go to sleep in the sukkah. So I'm being mekayim a mitzvah of sleeping in the sukkah.
It's part of the mitzvah, that's not the mitzvah.
I understand, but why not make a bracha for it? Now if you're going to answer like they bring down, because I already made the Shem B'Sukkah during the day, so it covers my sleeping. What if I had no bread that day? Let's just say. I didn't eat bread. I can't eat bread for whatever reason. So now I didn't make any brachot in the sukkah yet. Maybe I should make a bracha of Shem B'Sukkah. Sleep in the sukkah. So Tosafot answers as follows. Says Tosafot as follows. Why do we not make a bracha of Lishon B'Sukkah? Yesh lomar, we could say, the Shema lo yishan, maybe you won't fall asleep. ונמצא שברך ברכה לבטלה. It turns out he made a bracha לבטל. שהרי אין בידו לישון כל שעה שירצה. It's not within your koach to fall asleep anytime you want. I could go right now to my sukkah, make the bracha of Lishon B'Sukkah. I go, I twist and turn, it's cold, the flies are bothering me, this and that, you know, let me get out of here, let me go home, I'm definitely butter. Right? So it comes along, you made a bracha on something that's not within your power to fulfill. Right? So you can make a bracha of eating in the sukkah, because you know what? You're going to take the bite, you're going to start eating. You're intending to eat, and you're going to eat. Right? But when it comes to sleeping, lichora, says the Tosafot, it's in your hands to sleep, how could you make a bracha?
You can say that all year round, though. That's part of the problem.
Oh, so 1 second. So based on this might be a semech to what these poskim wrote. The Ben Ish Chai v'Siyato that wrote that you should not make a bracha of hamapil when you go to sleep. You should say it without Hashem's name. Don't say Ata Hashem Elkeinu. Don't use Shem u'Malchut. Why? Because who says you're going to fall asleep? Maybe your wife's going to bother you, your kids are going to bother you, maybe you have something that pops into your mind, you want to go finish off your bills or this or that, or maybe you just can't fall asleep. Right? Shena is not beyado. It's not within your reach to fall asleep. So how could you make a bracha when potentially you're not going to fall asleep? So now the real question is...
Basically it's a request. Isn't it a request that Hashem will help you fall asleep?
What is this? Hamapil chevle sheina aleinai. You're saying it's not a bracha of a mitzvah.
Right,
It's a bracha of... Shevach maybe. Is that what you're saying? Let's read to you over here the Berach Avraham. Look what he writes over here. Because the truth is, whenever you bring such a ra'aya for these poskim from the past 200 years, you have to say, what was everyone else thinking prior to that? Right? Look at the Berach Avraham. He does to defend all the other poskim. He says, Birkat HaMapil, the bracha that we make before we go to sleep every single night, he birkat hoda'ah al teva hashena she'itbi'a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a bracha of praise on the concept of sleeping that Kadosh Baruch Hu brought to this world. Masha'en Kain, what is not so? Birkat Lisham Besukkah, the bracha of sleeping in a sukkah. Shema yeh mitzta'er shepatur min sukkah. Maybe you'll be mitzta'er, you're patur min sukkah. Right? It's not a bracha of shevach or hoda'ah, it's a bracha of a mitzvah. And it's not something that was in your hands to fulfill. Therefore, the bracha of sleeping that we make every single night is a shevach. Thank you, Hashem, for this concept. Even if I don't fall asleep, I'm making the bracha on a concept. The bracha of sukkah would have been a bracha on a mitzvah. That's an afkamina. Wow. Should Rav Ephraim writes, Rav Ephraim Greenblatt writes, based on this, I could make the bracha of mapil in my living room, and then go sleep in my room. Because it's the bracha of a shevach, it's not a bracha of a mitzvah, I have to do it in my room. Some people say, I must say it in my bedroom. You have to say it in your bedroom. You could theoretically say, no, why is there a hefsek? It's a bracha of a shevach, and I go straight to my room. Let's just say someone's sleeping in the room where I don't want to turn on the lights, so I can't see so well. Or I'm just not comfortable staying in my room, I won't have kavanah, I'll start falling asleep, whatever it is. He says, based on this, a person can freely say the bracha in his living room, and go to his bedroom to sleep right afterwards. Tzitzer Ezra says the same thing, that what? You don't have to make the bracha in the makom of Shena. You don't have to make the bracha in the place where he's sleeping. Just make the bracha close to Shena. Close to when you want to go to sleep. That's what he says. Now, the Kaf HaChaim brings down the following. He brings down, there's two Kaf HaChaims, by the way. Two famous Kaf HaChaims. Some people call it Kef HaChaim. Why? Because what the Kaf HaChaim does is, he was a contemporary of the Mishnah Berurah, but he was born a little later than him. What he does is, he basically does what the Mishnah Berurah does. He gives you all the poskim, all the Nasakelim on the Shulchan Aruch, the Magen Avraham, the Chazaq, Pri Megadim. But on top of that, he adds all the Mikubalim, all the Kabbalistic opinions as well. Therefore, the Kaf HaChaim, what he does is, the problem is why many people don't learn it is because the print is just a terrible print. It's an awful, and they never reprinted it. But if they ever do reprint it, it's a classic sefer, and he quotes the Mishnah Berurah as well. So it's a classic sefer that gives you what the Pashtanim hold and what the Mikubalim hold. Everything on one table, quote unquote. So the Kaf HaChaim brings out all the opinions over there. And then he says, I'm referring to Kaf HaChaim Sofer, or Rav Chaim Sofer. The other Kaf HaChaim that lived prior to him, that's Rav Chaim Falaji, right? Rav Chaim Falaji, I don't know if he became famous because his picture, or the picture of his family, his father, is on the Kupat Ha'ir posters when they wanted you to give the 91 the Sgulot for Shavuot. Right, that's how people came to know Rav Chaim Falaji. But this is a man that wrote close to 100 sefarim. He wrote 100 books, Rav Chaim Falaji. But of Turkey. So Rav Chaim Falaji. So whatever the case is, whenever people quote Kaf HaChaim, they usually refer to Rav Chaim Sofer, who passed away in the 1940s or recently. But in any event, Rav Chaim Sofer writes as follows. He writes that Rav Yitzchak Falaji, the son of Rav Chaim Falaji, used to follow the minhag of not saying the bracha of Mapil with Hashem's name, Shem Malchus. However, after he saw the svara of the Berach Avraham that you were telling us in the back, that is one that's a bracha of a mitzvah and one is a bracha of shevach, he started saying Shemu Malchus, right? Just like Maran Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam and all the poskim paskin. And says the Kaf HaChaim, and you have nothing to worry about when it comes to bracha levatala, because we see that everyone else you should do it. So even if your minhag was not to do it, if you want to change your minhag, you have nothing to worry about. There's no bracha levatala, chashash or bracha levatala involved in here. You could change your minhag. Okay, very nice. There is a sefer called Yaskil Avdi. That's authored by Harav Ovadia Hadaya, who was one of the Dayanim in the Bezin together with Rav Elyashiv back in the 1950s and 60s in the Bezin Agadol in Yerushalayim. So Rav Hadaya was also a tremendous mikubal, was a big time chacham. So he argues on his Kaf HaChaim. He says, despite what the Berach Avraham says, a person should not make a bracha either way. And he says the following svara, why not? You see, our minhag today is, like the Ramah brings down, that Birkas HaShachar we make even if it doesn't apply to us. Right? Now, whenever you don't sleep at all, you ask someone else to say the bracha for you, you listen to him, you answer Amen. But let's just say someone, Chaz v'shalom, can't get out of bed, he still makes a bracha of Zokek v'fufim, Matir Asurim. It's a minhag ha'olam mivarchinan. We make the bracha on the concept, and the minhag ha'olam. That's the common minhag today. Even though the Rambam argues on that, but even the Sfardim today follow this opinion of the Ramah based on the Arizal. That you make the Birkot HaShachar based on minhag ha'olam and not on your personal. For instance, the Rambam would tell you, if you didn't hear a rooster you're not going to make the bracha you can skip it. You skip it, right? If you're not getting out of bed, you skip that bracha. You can't get dressed, you skip Mabishur. Rambam holds it applies to you, but yes.
When you get up to say Tikkun Chatzot,
right,
and you stay up all night,
right.
Some people do, and so you say the brachot at night.
Right. I mean, they write.
They tend to get out to go back.
They write. The Ben Ish Chai writes beferush according to the Kabbalah because the Shachar begins right after Chatzot, and if you're up after Chatzot, you can start making because the Shachar. Even if you intend to go to sleep, by the way. Even the reason why he doesn't suggest that is because he says many people make a mistake. They say it again in the morning, second time. They say it after Chatzot and repeat it again in the morning. But no, you don't have to say it again. Because listen, if you sleep during the morning, let's just say I wake up now. I daven shachris. I go to sleep at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. Do I make a new because Torah? Because Shachar? No, it covers me for the whole 24 hours. It covers me for what I have to do. But in any event, so Rav Ovadia Adai writes the following. He says, how could you come along and compare the case of Hamapil to Birkat the Shachar and say, Al Mino Goyish Oelbaum, it's on the teva of the world that Hashem created the concept of sleep, right? Just like all the brachas of Birkat the Shachar. So you cannot compare it. Why? Because the bracha of Hamapil is Hamapil Chevle Shena Al Einai. It's talking B'lashon Yachid. It's talking about me. That Hashem is doing this for me. You look at Birkat the Shachar, the brachot are on the concept of the world. Hanoten la'ya'ef koach, pokeach ivrim, matir asurim, zokef kefufim. It's in Lashon Rabim. Right? Oh, one second. Huh? Oh, so 1 second. So put it aside. He says that what? We see over here that this bracha is made it's B'lashon Yachid. Therefore, it's something not on the teva of the Olam, it's on me myself. Whereas, because of Shachar, you can follow the Ramah and Arizah and say teva shel Olam because it's B'lashon Rabim. That's what he comes along to say. Now, there's even besides Shasali Katzarki. Put that aside for a second. I think there's another proof against what he says. Why is that? How do you say the nusach of Hama'avir Chevle every morning in Birkat Shachar? What's your Huh? You say B'lashon Yachid, B'lashon Rabim. B'lashon Yachid. The Mishnah Berurah brings down some hold to say B'lashon Rabim, right? Because there's a Gemara that says it should always be, mitzaref the Rabim into everything that you do, Beseder, right? But the minhag of Sfardim is to say B'lashon Yachid, and apparently some Ashkenazim say B'lashon Yachid as well. And the Ben Ish Chai writes explicitly in Parashat Vayeshev that despite the fact that it's written B'lashon Yachid, the concept of minhag ha'olam still applies to these brachos. It says it makes no nafkamina the bracha is B'lashon Yachid or Rabim. The concept of teva and minhag ha'olam applies to all the brachot of Birkat Shachar. So if that's the case, then the same would apply to Birkat Hamapil, right? That at the end of the day, yes, it's Lashon Yachid, but it's on the concept of. I saw a Divrei Chaim Mitzanz. He brings down a very interesting thing. He writes as follows: Mutav lomar Birkat Hamapil b'chol laila b'shem u'malchut. It is preferable to say the bracha of Mapil with Shem u'malchus every single night. Afilu im yafsik bedibur pe'amim rabot. Even if you know you will speak. You're the type that always talks. You always talk. Right? And he says, V'lo yevatel bracha zo afilu pa'am achat, and do not be mevatel this bracha even once. And he says that it's preferable even if you know that you'll speak. There is no en chashash hefsek bedvarim. There's no chashash of hefsek. According to halacha, there is no chashash of hefsek, and you should make the bracha of Shem Malchut even if you know you will speak. I saw the Rav Moshe Sternbach brings down that you should encourage. There's no difference in man and woman with this bracha. You should encourage your wife to say the bracha as well, and it says it's a gula to protect her from chas v'shalom having a miscarriage. Ad kedei kach, this bracha is so powerful, right? And the emes says all the Poskei Zman have come to agree that a person should make the bracha b'shem u'malchut. Rav Ovadia argues in the Ben Ish Chai, Cham Mitzion, they all argue and they say that the minhag ha'olam is to say the bracha with Shem u'malchut. And as the Kaf HaChaim writes, even the Ben Ish Chai that argued in this point, but once he saw the Berach Avraham, Kaf HaChaim says, no bracha levatala, no savik bracha zahakal in this case. That a person should be able to make the bracha with his eyes closed, quote unquote. Right? Now what? You have nothing to worry about having savik bracha over here. Now the only question is, how long do you have to sleep for in order to make the beracha? What's the criteria? What if I plan on sleeping for a half hour, for 20 minutes, 15 minutes? What if it's there? So I saw the Shul of Ephraim brings down as follows. He quotes Rav Ilan Meirov, who says you must have shenat keva. What's a shenat keva? At least sha'a achas. You must intend to sleep at least 1 hour. You intend to sleep 1 hour, you can make the bracha. Then he quotes Rav Steinberg, who says that you can make the bracha even if you plan on sleeping only for a few minutes. You plan on going to sleep at nighttime, you make the bracha of hamapil with Shem Malchus. What if I want to sleep during the daytime?
Shabbos afternoon.
I want to sleep. No, just I'm the type of guy, I have a night shift. I work every night and I go to sleep every day at 11 a.m. I sleep from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Do I make Birkat HaMapil during the daytime? Why not? HaMapil Chevle Shena, why not? What's the problem?
Because that's maybe not the normal derech of people to sleep.
So the Meiri in Gemara Brachot, and it's quoted by many other Rishonim and all the Achronim as well, that when we say it's Aminag Oelbaum, it's Aminag Oelbaum Shoshenas Halayla. Right? Therefore, this bracha cannot be made during the daytime. The bracha can only be made at nighttime. And that's a minhag. So if you're the type of guy that wants to sleep, let's just say, during the daytime and at nighttime, or if it happened to you once, that you go to sleep during the daytime, the bracha of Hamapil is not said b'shem Malchus. You cannot say b'shem Malchus, bracha v'tala. That, no question about it, is bracha v'tala.
So Shabbos afternoon, if a lot of people sleep.
No. Okay, I mean, the fact is many people sleep during the Sunday mornings also, Sunday afternoons. What does that mean? Right? But whatever the case may be, that's what the halakha says. Just one more quick point before we have the next shiur is regarding, we know the Mishnah Berurah writes that you should have 248 words also when you go to sleep. Even though the minhag is, you really only have to say the first parsha of Kriyat Shema. Says the Mishnah Berurah, it's a good minhag to say all 3 parshiyot. This way you get 248 words connected your Evarim. So now, with this being said, we know that the minhag of the Ashkenazim is, whenever you're not betzibur, what do? You start off by saying, Kel Melech Ne'eman. Right? This way, because Kriyat Shema itself has 245 words. Right? From Shema all the way to Hashem Kechem. Right? You have 245 words. Right? And then the Chazan, the Shliach Tzibur, he repeats Hashem Kechem Emes. That will give us the 248. Right? Now, when you go, let's say you're davening at home. You're not davening with him minyan. The minhag b'nei Ashkenaz is to say Kel Melech Ne'eman. That's how you get the 248. However, the minhag of Sfaradim, as brought down in the Bet Yosef, is to what? Is to end off by repeating Hashem Elokechem Emes. Say that a second time. So you end off by saying, Ani Hashem Asher Tzeiti Etchem Eretz Lechem Lekim, Ani Hashem Lechem Emet, Hashem Lechem Emet. Now, one of the Emes is going on the V'yatziv, or V'emunah, because Emes is not part of Kriyat Shema, and then the other one is going towards Kriyat Shema. But at nighttime, when there is no Ve'emunah and there is no V'yatziv, you don't have to say Emes twice. You only say Emes once. That means for the Minhag Sfaradim, right, when you go to sleep, we don't say Kel Melech Ne'eman. You end off by saying Hashem Elokechem. You don't say Emet. And you say Hashem Elokechem Emet. This first Emes you skip, right? And you only say the second one. Otherwise, you're going to have 249 words. You don't need 249. You need 248. However, the Sfaradim do agree that women should always say Kel Melech Ne'eman. Why is that? Because the Magen Avraham brings out that women have 252 Evarim, not 248. Right? So being that they have 252, so therefore they should always start off by saying Kel Melech Ne'eman, and they should always end up by saying Hashem Elokechem Emet, Hashem Elokechem Emet. This way they get themselves to 252, connected to what they have. There's actually a shoot from Rav Shlomo Kluger, who writes that when you make a Mishnah Berurah on a woman, you still say Remach Evarim. Now, why you would still say Remach Evarim, I'm not quite sure, but that he writes, despite the fact that they have 252, right, based on the counting of Chazal, nevertheless, you still say Remach Evarim. But whatever the case may be, what we see from here is.
Lamashe, we don't say that though.
What was that?
We make a shberach for women. Lamashe, we say Kol Evarim.
Kol Evarim. Oh, okay, that's very interesting. Okay, I didn't pay attention to that. Okay, beseder. That you don't say Remach, you only say Kol Evarim. Okay, ephemeral. But in any event, we see over here that what? That for Ashkenazim you have no problem, you just say Kel Melech Ne'eman. For Sfaradim you end off by saying Hashem Elokechem Emet. And for women, at least the Sfaradim do this, they would start off with Kel Melech Ne'eman and they would end up by saying Emes twice. Hashem Elokechem Emet and Hashem Elokechem Emet. David, yes.
What if a person is by the minyan and
you're running late
and the shliach tzibur finishes
before you,
yeah.
right? So that that the minhag is, as the Ben Ish Chai brings down, the minhag is that you should not rely on the Chazan's repetition, because you want to have the 248 coming out of Seder, right? Is that what you would do? If let's just say you start off with the Shliach Tzibur, and he ends Kriya Shema, Hashem Yechem Emes, while you're up to Leman Yirbu.
But you're hearing it.
So what would you do? Would you listen to him and rely on him and then continue Leman Yirbu, or would you not rely on him and end off by saying Hashem Yechem Emes a second time?
We rely on him, I think.
You think or you know? What?
Rabbi,
Tzarich Iyun, yes, in the back.
Rabbi Savitsky brought some Rishonim and Achronim
Yes.
that said it should say, regardless, it should say,
Hashem Yechem Emet.
no,
Kem Melech Neiman.
El Melech Neiman,
Even when you're B'tzibur.
B'tzibur.
Oh.
Because if you finish late, you'll be.
Oh, so here, you see? So he says he brought down some Rishonim and Achronim. I'm not sure who they are, but even when you're in a tzibur, is that what you know to do? You say Kem Melech Neiman just in case you're late. Maybe what I would suggest is, you're davening in the same place every day, so you know what your pace is, what the Shiat Tzibur's pace is, so everyone according to his pace. But our minhag is that if you're running a little late and they're quicker than you, we would do not rely on the Chazan. We would, on the Shiat Tzibur, we would actually say it ourselves, we repeat the Shem Gechamis twice.
Especially by the Amidah, I don't really want.
What was that?
It's not a ma'akev to say.
Of course, no one, of course it's not me'akev. However, you see, the Bet Yosef, the Beis Yosef, even though he was following the pshat in halacha, right? If there's a machlekes in the Zohar and the Gemara, you always follow the Gemara. But whenever there is no clear-cut statement in the Gemara, and there's a machlekes a poskim, and the Zohar says something, he follows the Zohar Kadosh. So regarding this concept, the machlekes, should say El Melech Neiman, some Rishonim held it was a hefsek to say it during Birkas Kriya Shema, because because you want to have 248 words, you can say El Melech Neiman between the bracha of Erev Yisrael to Shema Yisrael. Right? There's a Ramah that was against Rameir Halevi Abulafia, one of the Rishonim was very against that. Right? So he was very against saying El Melech Neiman. Therefore, there's many different minhagim how to end off Kriya Shema. Some repeat these words and these words and that word. And then the Bet Yosef brings down, being that the Zohar Kadosh says to repeat Hashem Elokechem Emet, that is the proper thing to do. And don't worry about maybe you're saying that it seems like two deities by saying because you're making a hefsek between them, right? And therefore the Bet Yosef, right, follow the Zohar Kadosh. Again, the minhag of Ashkenazim, as the Ramah brings down, is to say Kem Melech Neiman. But the question is that we have to analyze Be'ez Hashem, is what you would do if you're stuck in the middle and the Shiat Tzibur already ends off. Let us say we didn't do your Etzah. We didn't say Kem Melech Neiman in the beginning. Would you rely on the Chazan? On the Shiat Tzibur?
You can, but you have to say it again, Hashem Elochem Emet.
Right. Or would you say it twice? Okay. So again, like we said, the most Fardim would not rely on the Shiat Tzibur. This way you get the order, the 248 should be Al HaSeder.